Bonjour French 1. This lesson is all about introducing someone to someone else. So rather than just pointing at somebody and saying his name or her name, we've got some nice ways of saying this is a friend of mine so that you can describe who this person is to you. Eventually we'll learn family member titles as well, so you can say things like this is my mom or my brother. And we're also learning how to say I'd like to introduce you to, as well as how to respond if you get introduced to somebody new. This all kind of goes along with the idea of when you first meet somebody and you exchange names. If you're friends with somebody, then you oftentimes will need to introduce them. So first phrase here is actually two phrases in one. C'est un ami. By the way, that pause was there for you to repeat. I forgot to remind you about that at the beginning of this video. Is the phrase for he's a friend. But if you change this un ami to une amie by adding an e to each of these, that means the friend is a female. So c'est une amie is she's a friend. Again, keep in mind that French doesn't translate word for word. This is not the word for both he and she simultaneously. It's kind of a strange situation. So memorize the overall idea. The word ami is friend, and if there's an e on that word for friend, that friend happens to be a girl. If you want to say this is, you say ça c'est. And of course there's a ... after that, so you can fill in the person's name. So if I was introducing you to my husband, I would say ça c'est Monsieur D. If you want to say I'd like to introduce you to, we have two different versions of this, an informal and a formal version, depending on who you're talking to. Again, keep in mind, informal is if you're introducing somebody to a friend of yours or an adult that you're really familiar with, like a family member. Formal is used if you're introducing that person to an adult that you're not so familiar with, somebody you're just meeting for the first time. So if you're introducing this person to a friend of yours who's about your same age, you're going to say je te présente and follow it with the person's name. That's why there's a ... there. But if you're introducing this friend of yours to me, your teacher, and you need to speak formally, you'll say je vous présente. And again, make sure you put the person's name after it. Now, if you do get introduced to somebody, and I know I'm going backwards here, you can definitely say hi, which is salut. Or you can use the very French sounding phrase that you'll always see the men that are very suave in the movies as they kiss the lady's hand. They will say, enchanté, mademoiselle, which literally means enchanted, as in I'm enchanted to meet you. Here they translate it as delighted. In normal everyday conversation, you'd probably just say nice to meet you. But enchanté is the way you say nice to meet you. Now the reason why there's an extra e in parentheses here on enchanté is because if you are a girl who is delighted to meet somebody, you would actually add this extra e. It doesn't change the pronunciation, you only see it in written form. But if you were to ever have to write out a conversation or maybe use that thing in a letter or something like that, or a text message, you would want to make sure that you added that extra e. No parentheses necessary, just go ahead and smack another e on the end if you're a girl. But don't do that if you're a boy. If you're a boy and you're saying that it's nice to meet somebody, you're going to leave that e off completely. That'll wrap things up for now. Make sure you bring these notes back with you to class.